Good morning, PA Figs here. So I'm going to show you a couple of techniques that I use for rooting my cuttings. There's going to be two techniques we're going to look at today. One is going to be the bag method, and the other one is going to be the cup method. And let's get started here. So I actually have some cuttings in here that I have been working on rooting, and they're at different stages. Some of them already have roots, and then others I just got last night and put in here. So the ones with roots have been in here about a week, and they're the ones I'm going to use in the cup method. The ones without roots I'm going to use in the bag method. So let's start off with the bag method. First thing you need are two clear plastic bags. I've used everything from a Ziploc to these, which are actually bags that you get at the fish store when you buy fish. And I like these because they're nice and tall. You can buy these online or just stop at your local PetSmart or Petco, and I'm sure they'll be more than happy to give you a few of them if you ask nicely. Okay, so I've got two of these bags. And the first thing I'm going to do is take my pair of scissors, and I'm going to cut the corners off. And what this is really going to do is allow a little bit of airflow into your soil, as well as if you by accident have an excessive amount of moisture, it will let some of that moisture out. So let me go ahead and get these off. Okay. So now you might be asking yourself, well, for one cutting, why do you need two bags? And let me show you. What we're going to do is we're going to take this bag, and we're going to take your standard lunch bag that you get, about this size, and we are going to put it inside the bag. And this might be the hardest part of this entire procedure, actually getting it in. There we go. Okay. So I haven't lost my mind. There's a good reason for this. This bag is going to do two things, this paper bag in here. It's going to soak up any excessive moisture that you have in your rooting bag, and it's also going to block the light from hitting the roots in the bag inside. And roots will actually not grow as well if the light's hitting them. They'll still grow, but they won't grow as well or as fast. Okay, so we're just going to put that aside, and this will be the bag that we actually use to root our fig cutting. Okay, so before we get started on that, let me break for a second and show you the video of the type of soil I'm going to use and talk a little bit about that. Alright, so this is the potting mix that a lot of people on the board are starting to recommend on Figs for Fun forum. This is the Miracle-Gro Moisture Control Potting Mix. Now, I gotta be honest with you, I think a lot of it's marketing. I don't think it's all that different from your regular Miracle-Gro or any other potting soil for that matter. I think the figs will root in pretty much any potting soil, any potting mix, any dirt you throw at them. Some people use mushroom compost, some people use pine bark. You know, it goes from a dense mix to an airy mix. I personally prefer an airy mix, but I think the biggest point that I can make is the most important thing when rooting is not to overwater your mix. If you've got a wet mix, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's sand. I don't care if it's perlite. If your mix is over wet, oversaturated, you're going to get rot, you're going to get poor roots. So the best thing you can do is get that mix to just the right saturation, and it's not something easy for me to tell you, it's more of a experience thing. You shouldn't be able to squeeze your mix and have water come out, and at the same point it shouldn't be so dry that you don't see any moisture condensation building up on the side of your container when you're rooting. So a lot of people say not to add water to the mix that they buy at the store, but what I want to show you today is these are two bags of this moisture control potting mix that I bought at Home Depot, and they were literally stacked one on top of the other, and I want to show you the difference in the moisture within each. So I've got a scale here, and let me see if I can tilt this down. You might be able to see it that way. I'm going to go ahead and pop them both on. I think the bag's going to take up the majority of the scale, so you're not going to be able to see it real well, but I'll tell you what it reads. So first is this one. Let's get that on there. It's not going to be an exact science because it is going to overhang a little bit, but hopefully it'll at least be close. So let's see. All right, so that one is 24 pounds. Okay. Again, same size bag, same everything. I'm gonna hold this up. I probably don't have to hold it up too much. All right, give it a 5 count here. And this one weighs 39.5 pounds. So there are almost 10 pounds of moisture more in this bag here than there is in this bag. Now, the next question you're going to ask, right, is, well, which one's right? I don't know. If I had to guess, this one over here is probably a little too wet, and this one over here is probably a little too dry. So if you think about it this way, a gallon of water weighs approximately, let's call it 8 pounds. So we had, what, 34 and 24 there, so, 10 pounds. So there is over a gallon of water additional in this bag than there is this bag. Now, when I crack open the bags, I'll be able to tell kind of what the moisture level is. I'm actually going to leave this one in the garage for a little bit. It probably won't lose too much of the moisture, maybe a little bit, because it's been real dry up here in Pennsylvania. This guy over here is what I like, because what it'll allow me to do is add just a little bit of moisture myself, and in that moisture, I'll have something to keep fungus gnats at bay. So anytime you use any potting soil that has any type of organics in it, you're going to end up having problems with fungus gnats. I don't know where they come from. Sometimes they come in the mix. Sometimes you already have them in their house. But if you use an organic potting mix, chances are at some point you're going to run into fungus gnats. So there's a few things we can do to help prevent having fungus gnats really get into your rooting cuttings. Some people think the fungus gnats will destroy your rooting cutting, but I'm not sure I really believe that. If you've got a healthy cutting and you're not overwatering it and it's not rotting, I don't think those fungus gnats are really going to be something that's going to kill it. It may slow its growth a little bit by eating some of the roots, but I don't think it's going to kill it. Now, if you have a cutting that is rotting because the water is too saturated in the soil and it ends up rotting the bark off your cutting, then the fungus gnats are coming in and eating the rotted cutting, and you're going to have all sorts of issues. They're going to lay their eggs in there, their larvae in there, and it's going to just finish off a cutting that's already really struggling. So, all right, that's the potting mix. Let's move on. See what we can do with it.